Hello there, I'm Nigel.
Hi, I'm Kerry.
This is our YouTube channel, Be the Alternative. Hello again. This is another one in our series of common outreach questions. So these are questions that we have been asked when doing street activism over the past 7 years, 8 years, something like that. These are common questions. We're going to give the answers that I normally give and that Kerry normally gives. We agree on most things, but sometimes we answer things slightly differently. I think you tend to be more
Facts and figures.
facts and figures, and I tend to be more emotions, which is not how we are in everything else, is it? We normally do the way around, which is a bit strange, but anyway. So in this one, we're going to talk about the question of crop deaths. It comes up in various guises, but someone will say loads of insects or mice or voles or whatever are killed to harvest the crops that you eat. So there's all sorts of ways it gets said, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah, so the general title is, crop deaths. What about crop deaths? Even vegans can't be perfect because you're causing animals to die during crop deaths. So I think we're going to let you answer it this time first, because I think this is one where I probably go further than you. I might be a bit more radical. So how would you answer that question, Kerry?
When people tell me about crop deaths, the first
As if you've never heard.
Yeah.
You've not heard this one.
I've never heard this one before. You've got me.
Yeah.
Generally, you just revert to the old saying of we grow far more food than we need to for human beings, and over 50% of the grain that we're growing currently is going towards feeding the animals that they consume. And yeah, if there was any argument for reducing crop deaths, to stop eating animals. So
you don't deny that animals do.
No, animals do die. I mean, even as vegans, it's as far as practical and possible. I mean, yes, we can all start growing our own fruit and veg at home. We can start doing more, certainly. And I mean, many vegans are interested in that kind of thing. But, it's never going to be perfect. No one who's vegan or no one who's logical says that we're perfect human beings. We just try and minimize the amount of suffering and minimize the amount of death that we're causing. Any human being causes death. I've stepped on a snail before, and you're mortified. Of course you are, but no one's intentionally doing any harm. So, I would say if you are concerned with crop deaths, then, it's worthwhile knowing that over a third of the planet is occupied by either livestock or livestock feed, and over 50% of what we grow currently is being fed to animals. So if you are concerned with crop deaths, then the number one thing you can do is to go vegan.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much the line I take as well. I think it brings into call I think it's called the nirvana fallacy, which basically means that if you can't be perfect, then
Don't
try it all, which is clearly a silly thing to say. So I certainly do say pretty much all those things. I mean, I can never remember the facts and figures about the percentage of land and all that sort of thing. So one of the reasons I avoid it is because I can't remember it, to be frank. But dependent upon the person, my answer will sometimes vary. I'll sometimes say, yeah, animals are, as Kerry's already said, animals are killed as part of growing the crops that we eat. And exactly as you said, a lot of the crops that we grow are fed to animals to fatten them up, and that's inherently inefficient. So crop deaths is, you might think it's an argument against veganism, it's actually an argument for veganism, because we need to grow fewer crops, because the fewer crops we grow, the less crop deaths there are, and fewer animals that are killed inadvertently. But depending upon how the conversation is going, I sometimes put a little bit of a spin on it and say, yeah, I completely agree. If I could, I would live on a diet which is completely man-made. So if there ever comes a time when we can effectively synthesize food, just get some chemicals in a chemical plant, put them together to make some food that we can live on, that has never been a plant or an animal, so we've never had to harvest it. So there isn't a crop to harvest. So there's no need for pesticides or there's no need to disturb the land that the animals are. If there is a way of growing food like that, then I will be the first to say, yeah, sign me up. And if I could, I've actually said to people in the past, if I could live on purely minerals, then I would. But then I also talk about veganic farming, which, as Kerry hinted, is you're growing your own food. It's like organic, but veganic. You're not using pesticides or anything at all. Natural pesticides or anything like that. You're being very careful how you harvest them. But even that will occasionally harm insects. But the perhaps more easily available thing is vertical farming, which is where you grow plants in big sheds with artificial light and that sort of thing. Or a bit like hydroponics, but I don't even think they use water. Well, they use water to feed them, but they don't use lots and lots of water. And these are places that are completely almost sterile environments where there is no insects apart from the ones that they use for pollination. And so when they're harvesting those, there's no mice or anything like or birds to be affected because they're in a factory environment, which isn't brilliant, but it is about minimising suffering. So I think that's where I would go a little bit further. I think you've used that a couple of times, haven't you?
It depends on how the conversation's going, because generally the what about crop deaths just tends to be a way out. It's like, I found a flaw in your argument of veganism and you still cause suffering.
Yeah,
so
you're right. Yeah, and it always, not always, but almost very frequently comes down to soy, doesn't it? You lot eat loads of soy.
Over 90% of soy grown is for animals.
Exactly, yeah. So they're cutting down the Amazon rainforest to grow soy to feed to cattle that are in the Amazon rainforest to fatten them up so they can export that to the West. So yeah, so I can't remember the figure. You say it's 90%. I think of the 10%, I think something like most of that is to go to make oils for industry as well. I think the actual soy that humans eat isn't even 10%. I think I don't know, but I think it's significantly less than that. So again, yeah, crop deaths are an argument for veganism, not against them. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's how we answered him. If you've got some better suggestions, some different takes on it, then let us know. Comment on this video below, and if we like them, we'll do another video on.
And we'll try it in our outreach and
see how it works. Yeah. So again, it's one of the common questions that if you've got different ways of answering them, like in everything in this series, if you've got different ways of answering these questions, then let us know. None of us are perfect. None of us have got the right answer, and it depends on the person that you're talking to as well. If they're religious or not, if they're young or if they're old, or if they're more into the environment. These things, you've got to really tailor your answer dependent upon the person that you're talking to. So if you've had any other ways of answering that sort of question that you think would work with a particular audience, particular type of person, and let us know, and we're happy to share those. The purpose of these videos is to educate other vegans in how to talk to non-vegans. If you've ever been stumped by a question, or you think that the answer that you currently give isn't very good, then try the ones that we've just talked about. Conversely, if you've got an absolute brilliant answer, if you're sat there now watching this and you're thinking, why don't they say this? This is so bloody obvious. Tell us. We're happy to learn. We're not perfect. I think we've done it a long time, so we feel we're pretty good, but we're certainly not perfect. So, yeah, let us know. Okay, so thank you for that. If you enjoyed that discussion, then please like, share, and
subscribe.
Should we say something else? Okay. Bye.